What was your most unforgettable runaway from home attempt? Almost every kid has that one moment where they think, that's it, I'm done. I'm running away and no one can stop me. Usually it lasts about an hour, maybe a night, and then reality sets in. But for me, my most unforgettable runaway attempt happened when I was 10 years old, and it was equal parts hilarious, embarrassing, and strangely life-changing. I grew up in a pretty strict household. My parents weren't cruel, but they were definitely because I said so parents. At 10, I was already developing a sense of independence, and I hated being told no without an explanation. That summer, the big drama was that all my friends were allowed to stay up late to watch a new show that aired at 9:30 p.m. I begged my parents to let me stay up too. Their answer was an immediate flat. No, bedtime is 9. I argued, I pleaded. I even tried the classic, but everyone else gets to tactic. Didn't matter. My mom said I needed my rest, and my dad said life wasn't fair, and that was it. 10-year-old me decided this was the final straw. Clearly, my family didn't appreciate me. Clearly, I was being oppressed. Clearly, the only logical thing to do was run away. Like most kids, my plan was less strategy and more vague daydream. I would pack my essentials, sneak out, and live a glorious life of freedom. Where exactly? Unclear. How exactly? Also unclear, but I was determined. I grabbed my school backpack and stuffed it with the most important things I owned. 2 packs of Pokemon cards, a flashlight with half-dead batteries, my favorite stuffed animal for comfort, a bag of goldfish crackers, and because I thought I'd need money, exactly $3.47 in coins from my piggy bank. I also included a notebook, because obviously my runaway adventure would one day be published as a best-selling memoir. Feeling like a genius mastermind, I even wrote a note to my parents. Dear Mom and Dad, you'll be sorry when I'm gone. Don't try to find me. I left it dramatically on my pillow because that's how it was done in the movies. I waited until after bedtime. My parents tucked me in, turned off the lights, and closed the door. I gave it a good 30 minutes to make sure they were asleep, then tiptoed to the window. This is where problem number 1 arose. My bedroom was on the 2nd floor. I had not, in my 10-year-old brilliance, thought this through, but I was committed. I tied together some old jump ropes I found in my closet, hooked them to my bedpost, and lowered them out the window like a cartoon burglar. Miraculously, it worked. I rappelled down to the backyard, heart racing, adrenaline pumping. In that moment, I truly felt unstoppable. Once I was outside, my freedom immediately hit a snag. It was dark, really dark. The kind of dark where even the familiar shapes of trees look menacing. Crickets chirped, something rustled in the bushes. I clutched my flashlight, which of course flickered and dimmed because the batteries were almost dead. Still, I pressed on. I marched down the street, backpack bouncing on my shoulders, convinced I was about to begin a life of independence. I made it exactly 3 blocks before problem number 2 appeared. I had no plan for where to go. At first, I thought about going to my best friend's house, but then I remembered his parents went to bed early and they had a very loud dog. Scratch that. Then I thought about the park. But by the time I got close, the swings creaked in the wind, the shadows looked menacing, and I spooked myself into thinking a serial killer was probably waiting for me behind the slide. So I did the only thing that made sense. I sat on a curb, ate half my goldfish crackers, and tried to come up with plan B. That's when headlights appeared. A car slowed down, and I froze. It wasn't a stranger, it was my dad. I'll never forget the look on his face when he rolled down the window, half furious, half trying not to laugh. He leaned over and said in the calmest voice possible, "Need a ride, runaway?" I wanted to sink into the pavement. I mumbled something about just going for a walk. He raised an eyebrow and pointed out the giant backpack stuffed with Pokemon cards and snacks. "Uh-huh," he said. "Get in the car." Back home, I was sure I was in for the scolding of my life, but instead my parents surprised me. They sat me down, showed me the note I'd left, and asked why I felt the need to run away. Through tears, I explained how unfair the bedtime rule was, how they didn't understand me, how I just wanted to be trusted. To my shock, they actually listened. They didn't change my bedtime, but they compromised. Once a week, I could stay up later as long as I woke up on time for school. More importantly, they told me something that stuck. You can be mad at us, you can disagree with us, but running away doesn't solve problems. Talking does. Looking back, the whole attempt was hilariously pathetic. I lasted less than an hour, traveled maybe half a mile, and had no plan beyond goldfish crackers and Pokemon cards. But in my 10-year-old brain, it was the boldest rebellion I could imagine. And honestly, I think that's why it's unforgettable. Because in that silly, failed runaway attempt, I learned 2 things. 1, independence feels scary but also empowering. 2, my parents, strict as they were, cared enough to listen when it mattered. I never tried to run away again. But whenever I hear someone talk about their own runaway story, I can't help but remember myself, sneaking down a rope of jump ropes, backpack full of snacks, convinced I was about to start a new life, only to end up 3 blocks away, caught by my dad with that infuriating smirk on his face. That was my most unforgettable runaway attempt.